This is a song where the verses are all about how the enemy has deceived us, or at least those he's deceived, how he deceives them. And he's got people believing that it doesn't really matter because he's got people believing that he doesn't exist and they're on the road to hell. But hey, what do they care? The enemy doesn't exist. And then I played the last chorus because that's what I liked about it was the last chorus. They repeat it, but then change the words where he has turned around and realizes that yes, the enemy exists. Cries out to God, "Hey, please save me from the road to hell because now I know you exist." I mean, now he knows
Right.
God exists. So the whole song is really about how the enemy has deceived him until you get to the very last time he sings the chorus where he's turned his view around and knows that yes, he knows the enemy exists, but more importantly, he knows God exists and he prays out to him and cries to him. Today on the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast, we explore the classic Canadian Christian album, Sweet Destiny, from the band Siloam. At least I think that's how you pronounce the name.
With electric guitars, the heavens shake through every riff, our souls awake. This is rock and metal faith. The thunder roars, his name is praised. Through light and dark, his love will fade. Forever loud, rock and metal faith.
Welcome to the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast, where we love talking all about the rock that doesn't roll. I'm talking about Christian rock and metal. From the classics like Stripe and White Cross to new ones like Chaotic Resemblance and Theocracy, whoever else we got out there. All right. I'm just trying a new intro here. I'm your host, Aaron Hancock, and joined, as always, is Chris Beaumont. How are you doing, Chris?
Good. How's it going with you?
Good, good. Yes. All right. Let's get down to business. First thing up is news, and we've got some new Facebook followers. David Hobson, and I'm not sure about this second one, Sanam Hands. And from what I can figure out, they're an organization in Pakistan. So I'm not sure if they're a church over there or what, but welcome. Thanks for joining up with the Facebook groups. For those of you who haven't yet, just find us on Facebook, like, follow, whatever you need to do. I'm going to be posting content on there. I might post some bloopers. I might post questions that I'm looking for answers for upcoming episodes. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, so be sure to follow us on all the socials, including Facebook, Instagram, and all those other ones. All
Yeah,
right.
we would send us a gazillion emails. Okay, maybe not a gazillion, maybe two.
So yeah, we've had some new subscribers on the YouTube channel. So thanks for subscribing and watching. We're not going to do shout out to everybody who subscribes in there, only because YouTube lets us know who's there. Unfortunately, the other platforms don't let us know names of who's there. We've had comments, more comments on the Scott Wenzel. Just a lot of people talking about White Cross,
Oh,
talking about when they've got to meet Scott or when they got to meet White Cross in general. So that's all nice and thanks. The February bonus episode that Chris, you're not usually part of, and I might get you to join in the future for some of these bonus episodes. But the February bonus, there was birthdays. We had actually a lot of death anniversaries in February. And I did a short little feature on Barren Cross. So we actually had some comments on that. Someone said, Barren Cross was a great band. I knew I could share with all my non-Christian friends. They'd have to agree that Barren Cross was cool. It was great for sharing with my non-Christian friends, Christian bands. And we had a comment too saying, thanks for covering all those that we have lost in the Christian hard rocking scene. These folks never know how many lives they've impacted. So, yeah, that's good to know too. Like I said, we've had comments saying they enjoy the birthday comments and people are enjoying the fact that we celebrate those who have gone on ahead of us. So thanks for letting
That's
us
right.
know all about that. That's about it, I think. Michael Sweet's released a couple of new singles. Have you heard those ones?
What's it called?
I think Lord was one of them.
Yeah, Lord, yeah, that was it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. I may end up buying the new one when it comes out. I know I just finished listening to the Christian Geeks Rock cast. They were talking about that. They're not sure if they're gonna buy it just because it's different sound. It's not Striper sound, which actually I think I'm gonna like because as much as I love the fast rockers, the hard rock stuff, there are times where I get oversaturated and get tired of it. And as much as I don't like the ballads, and we're going to talk about that with this new record, with this record coming up, there are
Yeah.
times where I do like to kick back and take it easy too. So it depends on the mood I'm in. But they were also talking about how busy Michael Sweet is and how much content that Michael puts out. Do you really need to hear Michael Sweet as often as he puts out new content? And some folks do, and some folks don't. So to each their own, I guess.
He almost reminds me of the guy, like, all over my Facebook feed, there's stories of Def Leppard that are like, they're still running strong, and that makes me think of Michael Sweet.
Right? Yeah, I know, man. Tell you, all these old guys still going. And you know what's going to come down to when I go see a show? I'm just an old guy going to see older guys playing old music.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Anyways, let's get into before we get into the main episode. Let's get into this because I have something to play. It's time to plug it in and turn it up. All right, plug it in segment time. We got this band. They're out of the States, I believe, and I can't remember where in the States. It's a band called Eden Effect. They've got 2 records out as far as I believe. And I contacted the guys saying, "Hey, can I play some of your music? Because I like what I'm hearing." They were happy saying, "Which one do you want to play?" And I told them, and then they said, "Well, we're also going to be promoting this new song. It's off the second record, and I think it's called Rise Up. But they'll soon be making a video for this one." So I thought I'd do them a favor and play this one instead. So from the Eden Effect, this is called In the End. So that was the Eating Effect with the song "In the End." And sorry, I don't know members. I believe they're out of the States. That's a little heavier than some of the other tracks. The other tracks are all good too. If you like that, check them out. They are on the streaming services. And yeah, go out and support. What do you think of that one, Chris?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, and like I said, they're available on all streaming services. So they're on Apple and Spotify. Which actually reminds me too. We've got two separate Spotify playlists. If you want to hear the music that we play
How many
on this
albums did
program,
you said they have?
as far as I know, there's two.
Cool.
And yeah, and the last one I believe came out last year called "Rise Up," and that's from that one, "Rise Up." That's actually the last track on there. Actually, I like most of that record too. I was listening to quite a bit of that record and like it. So that song in the end will appear on our Plug It In Spotify playlist. You can look for that. I think it's called Plug It In, and there's a second playlist there of some of the music we played on the episodes. Getting to that, unfortunately, none of Siloam's music is on Spotify. So unfortunately, none of today's songs will be on the Spotify playlist. Here's the playlist. They are kind of a hard band to find if you don't have their music. Although they're out there on YouTube. So get into that. I guess s- we're talking about Siloam. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
I remember back in the day, actually, I can't remember how I used to pronounce it now. If I pronounced it Siloam or Siloam or what. I used to get in arguments with other people on how this band was pronounced. But yeah, I think it's Siloam, a reference to the pools of Siloam. One of the miracles that Jesus did healing, I think it was the paraplegic who was trying to get into the healing waters and couldn't until Jesus came along and healed him. So that's what the reference to the band name is. And I had a couple different sources saying different things where they're from. One source said that they were kind of international artists. In other words, each member was from a different country that they came together. I don't know if that's true or not. Most sources were saying they're a Canadian band formed in Ottawa, Ontario. So we're getting to our first Canadian rock, and they're not the only ones that were out there, not the first ones from Canada to be playing Christian metal, but the first one we're doing an in-depth look at.
Oh, I didn't know that they were Canadian. Huh.
Yes. Band was founded actually by the drummer, Brian Lutz, who became a Christian after nearly dying from a drug overdose. And because of that, he became a Christian, wanted to get in music and create a mission statement. He felt called to return to the streets to share the gospel with at-risk youth. And this whole ministry approach idea shaped Siloam's music. The members of the band, like I said, Brian Lutz on drums, he was the founder. We have Lee Guthrie on vocals, Chad Everett on bass, Tim LaRoche on guitar, and Marshall Zacharias on guitar, Ken Maris on keyboards. uh, and- So that's the band. And Sweet Destiny came out in 1991, their debut record,
Okay.
and was produced and engineered by Terry Brown, who has done work in these mainstream or secular films with bands of Voivod, Fates Warning. He worked on Rush with 2112, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, Permanent Waves. So he's got a pretty good resume there, I'd say.
Okay. Bands I've never heard of. So
You never heard of Rush?
Rush. Oh yeah, yeah, I know Rush. Yeah. I didn't really get into Rush.
I like them.
Did you?
Yeah. So I sent you a picture of the record cover. Or I've got it on cassette. So for those of you
Rush. Yeah.
on YouTube, there I'm holding up the cassette. For those of you, well, not on YouTube.
I hope we're not planning to do a Rush episode.
No, Rush was never Christian.
Okay. Good.
Rush was never Christian, and you can tell that by the lyrics. Neil Parrott wrote most of the lyrics for the band once he became a member, and you can
Like you
tell.
two, everybody's so the band we're talking about today, are they still up and running, or are they retired? And
No, as far as I know, they only released 3 records. I never bought the other 2. I don't think I even realized the other 2 had come out. Lots of people actually kinda asked the Facebook internet community if they knew much about Siloam, and people love the first 2 records. The 3rd one kinda took a darker turn, I think. But it's like anything. This comes out in 1991. Now this has a nice hair metal sound to it. And then like a lot of bands at times, some of them were getting started just a little too late. Great band, but they're getting started just as the music scene's about to change. And we're gonna talk about that, I think, on future episodes. I sent you a picture of the cover. It's just, a simple cover. And almost you know what? Actually, now that I look at it, it looks like one of those old
that's an old cassette. Yeah.
those old Western photos. Remember, you go to the mall, you dress up in the Western garb, get your picture taken. That's what this looks
Turning
like.
over? What? Okay. I don't remember those.
Instant. That's
Huh.
that's what it looks like to me. Nothing fancy, just a band photo and on a colored background. Kind of a cool logo though, I think. But anyways, um, yeah. So that's about it, I guess, for that. You wanted to discuss what were your overall thoughts with this record before we get into it song by song?
I thought it was okay, but it seemed for me, I've never heard the band. I think this was a band I found in again the Bible bookstore with my dad, and he said, go pick a couple cassettes, whatever." Right? I ran off, and I think this was a band I listened to in the old days where you put the headset on and you press play and you could hear. And I thought, to me, it seemed too. Oh, how can I put it? Like not funk, but it just didn't have, I guess, the engineering quality that I was used to, like, in listening to other bands, it just
Okay,
didn't, and listening to it this week, trying, it happened again. I was like,
right,
"Oh." I mean, the words are good, but
yeah. Well, this one definitely. I know. I think the production wasn't bad. It's better than some of the other bands from the time. I definitely am sure I got this from the Christian bookstore. I think that's all my Christian cassettes. That's where they came from. And this would have been the time when the bookstores were still big, still going strong, and still having lots of music available. And so I probably picked it up from there. All right, what's our first track on here?
here we go
For,
again.
yes.
That to me, this one, we could end the episode right now because that's the only song I like on this album.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a good song. I don't actually. We'll talk about that when we talk about the song. Uh, I like the song. Well, let's play and then we'll talk about it.
I just can't let you go. So here I am again. I'm on my knees. Just another prayer, just another plea. It always seems to stay the same. Oh Lord, will I ever change? So here I am again, one more time, running from a life that I left behind, looking for the road that I can't find. Well, love me, Lord, I'm running out of time. Just another day at a time.
So you know what, Chris? You called it "Here I Go Again." That's the title of a White Snake song.
I know. I know. And you know what? I was wondering, there are the one other song from that another band. I want to know if they took these songs and used them, because when I was listening to them, like, it's almost sound like, oh, who did "Here I Go Again"?
But that was White Snake.
Yeah, White Snake. There we go.
And and that's what I had in my notes, is it does remind me of Whitesnake, especially with punctuating the chord changes. I'd have to look at the breakdown of the Whitesnake song. I did actually analysis of the songs, looking at the chord progression and what keys they were in. So this song is in the key of E major.
Yeah, it's a little different, but
I thought
y
this was nice. It had a nice build up. It had a good
yeah.
message to the song. The only thing I don't like is I don't know if I would like it as the first track on the record. Well, I tell you what I did actually, listening to it on my phone, I can play around with the track listing, and so I did. So, just for fun, I changed the order of the tracks. Here's the way I would list the tracks if I was putting this record together and coming up with the track order. Number 1 would have been Miss Lizzie. 2 would have been Chemical King / Big Fight. 3 is where I would put Here I Am Again, and then Eastern Skies at 4, then Child of Mine, then Deceiver, then Sweet Destiny, After the Fire, Lethal Lady, Indecent Souls. And when I'm listening to this record in the regular order, in my own order, I was starting to think, you know what? You and I are probably going to differ on our favorite songs on this record.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I look for the really strong vocals, the really strong songwriting, and, I mean, for me, it was Here I Go Again, and then Destiny after the
The Fire?
fire. I thought that opened wow, the opening was just crazy, like, that was awesome.
Right. Well, that was my thought. You go for the
Yeah,
ballads. I go for the hard
I
rockers.
thought that was awesome. That was awesome.
All right. Let's go with what's the second one here? Miss Lizzie. And you know, I actually liked the solo on Miss Lizzie. It's a simple solo. It's nothing really out there, nothing we haven't heard. He's pulling off all the familiar licks and riffs you would hear in a typical solo, all the pentatonic lick. But at the end of the solo, he just speeds up a little more, or he's playing, shorter notes. And it sounds, I think, is really cool. Uh, so with Miss Lizzie, we're gonna do it from the solo into the chorus after the solo.
The guitar solo has high standards because we've met Rex well, we know Rex Carroll, and he has a
Yeah,
killer and Ken Hamlin. So,
yeah,
I mean, no, I don't think anybody can come close to those 2
no,
guys.
no. Mind you, you know
But
what?
but it was good though. I mean, for that time,
Yeah, and I think well, this may not be the as high a level as Rex Curl. I think it's close to it. He's really doing. I've kind of looked at some of Rex's guitar solos. A lot of it is around the pentatonic scale, and for those of you who are non-guitarists, the pentatonic is typically a 5-note scale that is really simple. Uh, Basically forms box patterns that guitarists will use to easily find notes, hit the notes, and come up with some great riffs. And and this is fairly fast paced. This is almost on the same tempo as what Rex will do his solos in. So I think it's not bad, really.
I guess I'm a little disappointed, oh, what, 25, whatever years later that I didn't hear about it as a teenager.
I say I'm kind of disappointed. I didn't know that there was 2
Yeah.
records that came out after this. Actually, I would have liked to have heard those things, and I may have to go look for mine. I'm not a big one for listening to music on YouTube though, so if it's not available elsewhere, it's hard for me to find. Yeah, Miss Lizzie. So my notes on this, this fast, gritty riff. Actually, I like the opening riff of the song. It's a little bit of blues rock mixing. I think the blues rock kind of comes from soloing around that pentatonic scale key of A minor would be typical where a lot of those solos are coming from. It's really easy to solo in an A minor key. Your thoughts on that one?
That was pretty nice, yeah.
Of course, it's this slower song.
Yeah, it's a little slow, but, like, we're both different in the sense you sometimes you like the fast. Sometimes I don't mind the rock, and I know our fans may not like this, but the country, the pop stuff, and then my dad laughs at me, and then all of a sudden, I'll go heavy.
Also, when you put on Mortification or Vengeance Rising.
Yeah, yeah, I might go to that, to Deliverance, to,
Right.
Tourniquet, and then to Michael W. Smith,
Yeah.
you know?
I think over the years we've all kind of, I don't know about all of us, but I know I've generated a kind of eclectic taste as well. I go from like the old blues from the 50s and 60s. Um, yeah, for this record in general, all the ballads I think are the slower songs are written well, they're done
Yeah, they are.
well.
Yeah.
The only problem is there's too many of them.
Yeah, like, like, I forget which ballad it is, but I listened to it and I'm like, Boy, you guys could rethink this and have, like, the opening could have been so much more powerful that you would have gotten airplay for it." Like,
Yeah. Well, no,
it
that's why
was
I
like they
said,
just, "Okay, let's do this riff and do this," but they didn't let any of their friends or anyone listen to it first. You
I
know? They were
well,
like what Rex said in the other episode, right? You gotta play with the monotone, it's like they didn't do that,
yeah.
but we don't know, right? We weren't there in the meetings, and
I don't know how if they had these songs before they went in the studio or if they're kinda right in the studio. I think,
I mean, really listening to it, I thought, "Geez, if these guys were given more money and more time, they could have been close to the Christian version of Nickelback."
this is
In
before
some
Nickelback. This is before anybody heard of
Yeah,
Nickelback.
like, they could have really put some I mean, their lead vocalist, he could sing, oh
Oh,
my
yes.
god. He could,
Yeah.
really.
I mean, there are tracks where yeah, definitely he shines, and I think that there was one I was gonna say, where was the most powerful.
And that was in '91, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they were just blessed with money, and, and their songs sound like it doesn't, sound disjointed, and we don't hear them in the recording. Did that sound good?
Alright, on to, Chemical King, Big Fight.
Started life so charming, but then who could tell it was time to walk this train? It's such a big fight, too big to throw away. What's it worth? Make it worth. Just hold on one more day. It's such a big fight, too big to throw away. Don't go down, further down.
Like, really, if he could do that, come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, and here's a song, where its message is talking about one of these guys who self-made businessman, has it all, is successful, and he's not ready to give up, I think, until, till the end comes or whatever. Uh, I know before we hit record there, you were talking and you're going, "Are these guys Christian? Is the message coming through in these songs?" I think it does. I think a lot of these songs, the Christian message is there. They did take a few personal stories and weave the message into that. Miss Lizzie's talking about someone specific. Big Fight, obviously, he's talking about someone specific. I don't know if they had known these guys and wrote songs about them or what. And it's not unusual. I know Bride did that a lot back in their early part of their career. They would write songs that were story songs, write songs about people and
Yeah.
the message of the gospel or whatever came through that. Someone's going through a rough time. All right. Well, now we're on to Eastern Skies.
There's a battle raging under eastern skies. The babies, children learn to die. When will it ever end under eastern skies? The hope of living under eastern skies. As the morning light begins to steal.
So yeah, that's a good song. Actually, one of my favorites, I think, off of this one.
Which one is that?
Eastern Skies.
Oh,
Basic,
okay.
basically talking about the wars and battles over in the Middle East. Usually I think around Jerusalem, Palestine, and all that.
Awesome.
But musically, I think this was really well written. In the chorus, they accentuate the beat there. The chords happen right on the beat, accentuating that. If I looked at this and it was written in the key of D or B minor, so I'm not sure if that means that's part of it was written in D and then the chorus in B minor or vice versa. But those are relative keys too. So with those who aren't musically knowledgeable, every major key has a relative minor key to it. And all that means is they use the same notes, the same chords, but it depends on which chords you're emphasizing. If you're emphasizing the major chords, keys a major. If you're emphasizing the minor chords, then it's a minor key. But as far as the notes, the chords, both of them will share the same. And so sometimes you can shift a key around, and they do that in one of the other songs actually, where they start off in the minor key for the verses, but then create that happy feel and switch to the major emphasis, the major chords in the chorus. I'm not sure if that was done here in Eastern Skies, but this was just a very powerful song, big big guitars, powerful hooks, and I like that actually.
Yeah. That's usually how you connect with your audience and your listener. Yeah. Actually,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, that's kind of cool, and because it's about Middle East, that they brought in all the Eastern guitar scales into the solos, create that Eastern sound to it. All right. Where we go? Want to see.
Come on, baby, pleasure. Feast on what you see. This trip ain't gonna end if you'll just stick with me. Oh, oh, oh. Your life's in such a twist. You're on the road to hell. Oh, no. I've got you in my fist. But hey, I don't exist. Oh, Lord, my life's in such a twist. Please save me from the road to hell. Oh, Lord, please put me on your list. I know that you exist.
So, your thoughts on Deceiver?
I like that whole the core the how they all sing together. That sounds really really awesome. Mm.
Yeah, I like this, and I like the message behind this. This is a song where the verses are all about how the enemy has deceived us, or at least those he's deceived, how he deceives them. And he's got people believing that it doesn't really matter because he's got people believing that he doesn't exist, and they're on the road to hell. But hey, what do they care? That the enemy doesn't exist. And then I played the last chorus because that's what I liked about it was the last chorus. They repeat it, but then change the words where he has turned around and realizes that yes, the enemy exists. He cries out to God, "Hey, please save me from the road to hell because now I know you exist." I mean, now he knows
Right.
God exists. So the whole song is really about how the enemy has deceived him until you get to the very last time he sings the chorus where he's turned his view around and knows that A, yes, he knows the enemy exists, but more importantly, he knows God exists and he prays out to him and cries to him. Uh, yeah, and it starts off with a bass riff on this one, which is kind
I
of
like the
cool.
opening. That
Yeah.
that really caught my attention.
That dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun
Da,
dun
da, da, da,
dun dun,
doo.
and you know what? This one makes my playlist. I think every Halloween there, I like to create a Halloween of or a playlist of Christian songs kind of related to Halloween. So, we could do things like Stripers to Hell with the Devil, um, Mr. Do Wrong from Guardian. Uh,
And they
uh,
were right in the 90s where they might have had pastor or the people close to them, their pastor, well, don't open with really, really, fast drums or fast guitars because it might be of the devil, right? Like, you know?
Probably. Um, I would hope by the '90s most of that had passed and gone.
Yeah. Like, I
I
mean,
know I know the early '80s, mid '80s, bands got a lot of that,
where now, I mean, bands are just whatever, leave me alone. Let me write my own stuff.
Right, yeah. Okay, on to After the Fire.
Let yourself lose control to someone now you love to hold. After the fire, the peace you long for's just begun. After the fire, the warmth of holding a true friend. After the fire, the love you lost now has no end. After all the fire.
I could still remember working the sound booth at a church and then having one of my tapes. I forget what band I played. It was a Christian band, but and I forgot that they opened with a rock guitar, and the guy that we just heard, like a guy was screaming the opening words,
Okay.
and the pastor that was running it, he like came running up from the stage back to where I was. He's like, "Stop, stop, stop!" Like, why? He's like, "Well, we don't want that kind of music in church. Like, that's a blasphemy." I'm like, read the lyrics. So I took for our viewers. I don't know if you guys remember when you had the cassette, you could take it out and you could read the lyrics, right,
Yeah.
of the song. So that's what I did. I took out the thing and I mean, the lyrics were incredibly small, but so I like magnified it with it on something. I can't remember what I used. And he read it. Oh, he's like, well, the screaming kind of scared me. I'm like, what? He's just a different way of opening a song.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it wasn't like disturbed, right? Like that I can understand, the drums and,
Right.
like, the added synth to it, that makes sense. But these guys, right, they
Siloam.
know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Your thoughts on After the Fire?
That's an awesome song. I like the opening. That was, like, my favorite out of well, the first one and After the Fire, I like the opening and just the lyrics were right on. I was like, "Wow, cool. Who are these guys?"
And you know what? This is one I would probably cut from the record, actually. Yeah. Like, here's the way I look at it. Okay, we got Here I Am Again. Okay, I like that one. We got Child of Mine, After the Fire, Sweet Destiny, Decent Soul.
Yeah.
That's 4, 5 songs. That's half the record. You need to, you know, you could almost alternate fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. And I almost did that, but that would just ruin the pace of the record, I think, if you did that.
I bet when it was live, I wonder what I mean, that's a short show. That's like
Oh, well, I'm sure they did other songs.
45, 50 minutes?
Well, remember too, they one record doesn't make you a headliner either, right? So
Right.
45 and stuff. But so I'm going, you know what? 4 ballads, you gotta cut a couple of them, and I would probably cut After the Fire and tell them, "Go back to studio, write some more fast songs, and put them on the record."
Well, see, me as a writer, I I prefer the slow songs because that gives me time to breathe, you know? Because the fast songs, that takes a lot out of you, Aaron.
It does, but I don't know.
You know what
The
I mean? Like, it's about hitting your notes, it's about heck, you have to remember your words. Yeah. Well, oh, sure, most musicians will remember their words, but when you're live, that's completely different,
Yeah, yeah.
right? You got people looking at you through a cute girl, you know? Really, it's true, and, like, it's just and I mean, for me, when I took singing, my instructor, I remember she said, "Well, just imagine that there was people everywhere, or people there that care about you, and they don't care what you sing." I'm like, "Well, that's not encouraging."
No, well, you gotta remember, I mean, this is supposed to be a rock band, this isn't supposed to be
I'm glad
contemporary.
she didn't say, "Just think of them being naked." You know, my mom laughed at that. She's like, "You'll stand up there like, yeah, yeah."
Anyways, on a
Yeah,
positive note, the one plus about this song was the way it's written. Now this is the other song where it starts off in the key of A minor for the verses, but then it shifts to the C major for the chorus, which is again the relative of A minor or vice versa. The two of them are relative keys. But what it does is it kind of brings in a somber tone for the verses and then brings in an upbeat, um, happy mood for the chorus is what it does. A lot of bands would do stuff like that is, use the minor for the verse,
that's
use
right.
the major
I didn't
key.
really like the the last song on the album. What was it?
No, 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 no. We'll get there. We'll get there. Wait till we get
Oh,
there.
okay. I thought. Hmm.
We're not there yet. On to Lethal Lady.
Hey, I've seen what's underneath. She's a Wolverine. She likes to drink her strawberry wine. Leave the lady. Yeah, baby, I know her kind. Leave the lady. She knows the difference between evil and good. She'll tell your soul if she knows she could. Hard to resist her, but I know I should. Leave the
I think this is a good song that showcases his vocals really well. He's up at the upper end of his vocal range.
Yeah, his range is pretty good.
The only thing I gotta say this song, I think as much as I love that the fast songs, the fast rockers, this one I'd rate a little lower than the other ones. I would say, it's okay, and it's okay because it's a fast one, but I prefer more of these, even if they're just okay, than 4 ballads.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, you could have really strong vocals and be able to hit those high notes, but if your musicians aren't that good, it drops everything and it sounds horrible, right? Like,
Well,
or vice versa. Your musicians are really good, but your vocalist can't reach where you want to be. So this guy was, they managed to figure where his octaves were
yeah.
early on.
And the only problem I got with this song, really, like I said, it's a good fast song, but the problem is it doesn't bring anything new. It sounds like a typical fast song. I don't know who they would have copied, but it almost sounds like they copied someone else, cut and paste. Oh, hey, we need another fast song. Okay, let's throw standard fast lick, fast riff. It's not bad because I remember I really liked it when I first got this record, probably because it was another fast song. And even a mediocre fast song I prefer than an album full of ballads. If I bought a record that had one fast song and a bunch of ballads on it, I would like the fast song. And even if that fast song was just okay.
Yeah. Same thing with me. If it's really catchy, I'm trying to think of it. I think for me, I mean, to stay on topic, but I don't know, did you ever hear of Survivor?
The band, yeah.
What I'm getting at is this guy he could do that with the ballad
Right,
if he wanted to, but he didn't want to, right? They wanted to keep it rock,
right.
right? Where Survivor is more of a pop rock.
Yeah, the only thing I heard from them was "I the Tiger." That was all I ever heard.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they were huge in the '90s. I loved them. I mean, that was my first.
sounds a lot like the band Dawkins too. That's kind of what led to the split of the band. Was Don wanted to write more poppy songs, more ballad type songs, more radio friendly poppy stuff. Where George Lynch of the band they wanted to be more heavier and more edgier. And I think that's what led to the riff. Anyways,
Yeah,
so we did Lethal Lady. Yeah, I said Lethal Lady. It's a good fast song, but I don't think it brings anything new that we haven't heard. Anyways, on to Sweet Destiny.
Child of misfortune, I was a poor boy with nowhere left to roam. I was running wild until you came to me. Oh, 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 sweet destiny. I was a wanderer with no direction. I was a wanderer with no place to go. I was running blind until you made me see. Whoa, 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 sweet destiny. Oh, Lord Jesus, you've rescued me. Whoa, 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 sweet destiny. I am afraid.
All right, your thoughts on that?
I like the vocals are pretty good. I like the drums, the sequence of the drums.
Right?
The bass is good too.
Yeah, I don't. This one, I don't fell a little flat for me, and I get the message. The message almost sounds like after reading the band's story, after reading the drummer's story, it sounds
Yeah,
like it might be his testimony, and it almost sounds like he's trying to write a new version of Amazing Grace. Is what it sounds like to me.
yeah,
Uh, and I don't know. Like I said, the words are good, but I think it fell just a little flat for me. And with 4 ballads, you gotta cut 2 of them and change 2 of them into something heavier. Maybe this would work better if it was sped up. Actually, that might have been the thought.
yeah. That's true.
I don't know. Um, yeah, this was one, I don't know, I could easily have skipped this one. And what's funny was they named the album Sweet Destiny, so this is the title track on it. And to me, if a band makes song a title track, they think that's the strongest on the record. I don't think this is the strongest on the record, though.
Okay.
And then onto another one here, and, yours said, I think, you weren't a fan of this one, Decent Souls.
That was cool. I like that song. I like because of the guitar solo going through the back in the background.
Right.
I thought that was pretty cool. And they had the vocalist sing. I forget what he was singing.
Well, it was about decent souls, and this is about those living on the street, and most of us don't give them the dignity that they deserve, and it's easy to kind of put them down. But this is trying to bring dignity to those people, I think, and I think it's a good
Awesome.
song. I think it's a message a lot of people need to hear because it's easy for most people to think,
That took care of my guitar solo need for the week. That's what that was meant.
it's a good solo. That I think that's why I left it in the
Yeah, it
clip
wasn't
there.
that long, but it was enough.
I never get enough guitar solos, but that's me.
It wasn't a Ken Tamplin or Rex Carroll.
um, so that kind of does it for the record. Your favorite songs on the record?
Here I go again.
Here I am. Okay, and what other one?
After the fire,
Okay.
I think I like that song a lot. Um, Weaver,
Deceiver?
something like yeah, like that. That was my top.
Yeah. Well, I like Here I Am.
Here I am. Yeah, that's a good song.
Or Here I Am Again. And I think that's a good message to that one. Most of us resonate with that one. Most of us kind of deal with reoccurring sin that we try to not do but continue to do. And I think that's a good message. I like Miss Lizzie. I think that's a great song. And Deceiver for sure. Like so those are I think the three favorites on the record. Least favorites on here, two of the ballads. I'd have to cut After the Fire. Like I said, I would probably even cut Sweet Destiny. Or at least change it, maybe speed it up. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on that. Overall,
Wow,
one overall 1 out of 10. What would you rate this record?
I'd say a 6.
Yeah, I'm about there, 5 to 6, maybe 5.5. Uh, again, it just comes down to the number of ballads, and I do like ballads. It just I don't like them. I don't like too many ballads.
And I say a 6 because I mean it's older, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's. I mean, this is the first time for me to be exposed to them. So, I mean, from just figuring out who they are the last week, like, they're good, they're okay. Would I recommend them to people? No, because they're, they're way back then.
Well, that's all right. If maybe someone says, "Hey, what's a good old
I
band
mean,
for?"
they're don't get me wrong, they're part of Canadian Christian rock history.
Yeah. And down the road, we'll get into more Canadian bands. There was Daniel Band, there was
Yes,
Angelica, and I've got one of the Angelica albums.
yes, I remember Angelica. Yes,
And then the guitarist from Angelica, when that band broke up, formed his own band, uh, Dreamer is the name of that band. And I've got that. All right, I think we'll wrap it up. So that's our show for this week. Remember to
this
r-
edition of the Rock and
rock
Metal
and metal
Faith
faith podcast. Hey, we didn't sit in unison.
Sorry, I was ahead of you.
No, that was all right. But yeah, like I said, remember to share this episode out, share it with your
Yes, say yeah.
friends.
Say yes. Say give us a like. Tell your
Yeah,
friends. Tell your dog.
tell
Tell
your
your
grandma.
neighbors.
Yeah,
Yes,
you know what? Crank it loud so when you listen to rock and metal faith, your
that's
neighbors
right.
do too.
Do we have a merch store yet?
No, we don't. Although we do have stickers to give away, so let me know if you
Right.
want
Yeah. You
stickers.
got your shirt. I got my cup.
God bless everyone, and see you next time. Keep on rocking.